Nowadays, villains aren't really evil anymore. In the modern day landscape of villains, we tend to see more of a push or an approach to make characters that are more relatable who do bad things, however the audience can relate to them. It's by giving them a somewhat of an understandable or justifiable reason for the reason why they do what they do, or by making their villainy or their evil some type of reaction to trauma that they experienced. I guess this is all an attempt to make us feel closer to these characters and make us feel like these characters are much more compelling because they feel like they could be real people in real life and not just these like caricatures of evil. And we see this a lot in anime, for example, where we have characters like Sasuke who are villainous because of a result of their trauma, not because there is something inherent about the character. Sometimes it can be even more of a philosophical question or a question of perspective, like characters when we see Eren, for example, from Attack on Titan, or even Light Yagami from Death Note. Something about a villain who is just bad can still work. For it to work, it relies on there being an appropriate balance between the villain's motivations and the villain's actions. Having a character who just does bad things just because they like being bad almost always falls flat because it only serves as a plot device to have something the protagonist, that being the main character of the series, to struggle against. However, villains that represent certain ideas or certain vices can also be a great way for villains to be depicted in an interesting, compelling way without making it seem like we're almost justifying the actions of the character, making the character seem like, oh, look at this guy, you know, he could be you if you were in that circumstance. I think a recent popular character that does this well is Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. It's almost like Sukuna is a representation of chaos. He wants to bring about death and destruction, not because he has some type of sad backstory. His mom died when he was young and an entire clan got slaughtered and everybody hates him. Now he needs to get revenge against the world. Rather, to me, it seems like almost a depiction of chaos. It seems like a lot of traditional villains from lots of traditional folklore around the world tend to focus on having villains who are simply representations of these negative concepts that exist, whether it's within society or it's within the person. And this character right here that I'm going to discuss is a character with no redeemable or justifiable qualities, but rather serves as a representation of an idea that melds perfectly with the themes of the story. This villain's name from the short comic that I wrote, A Fox in Sheep's Clothing, serves as a representation of greed and avarice and presents itself through the lens of religious abuse. Of course, it's no secret that religion can be a great and beautiful thing and has offered many different positive things to the world. It offers us a way that we can understand ourselves and understand our cosmic significance in the universe, offers us a sense of meaning and purpose in life, attempts to answer many of these unanswerable questions, allows us to feel that there is some type of cosmic significance to everything. It also plays a great role in establishing morality within the world, reminding us that there is an ultimate significance in choosing to do the right thing, helping others rather than focusing on ourselves, being selfish and greedy, falling into the dark abyss that is human depravity. The downside to this, however, is that the people who we trust and put on a pedestal, hoping that they can teach and enlighten us about the ways of the world and teach us how to connect with each other and to a higher power, and in themselves be that evil whom they are supposed to help us ward off against in the first place. To me, there is something so uniquely horrifying, especially as somebody who identifies as being religious, that the people who so many trust be the bastions of moral excellence can abuse that position of power solely for their own personal gain and desires. The main villain of this one-shot, Messenger Gustavo, goes by the name Messenger because he tells the people of this town that he is a divine messenger who can bring them good luck and prosperity amidst their chaotic town. The village of this story takes place in called the Vulcanstan is, as the name very obviously implies, a village built among the clusters of volcanoes. Because of this constant natural disasters, the people of this town live in a state of constant fear, constant apprehension, which is further exacerbated by a beast in the town that stalks the town at night and attacking the poor members of this town. The character that claims to be a divine messenger, Gustavo, says that if these people are able to prove their faith to his god by bringing monetary tithe and tribute in the form of sacrifice, his god will protect them. As it goes, as these people do as they're told, nighttime attacks do in fact begin to slow down. However, because the members of this town are very poor, as they start to run out of money to give away, they begin to panic because the attacks and natural disasters are picking up once again. As the main character of the town comes to this village, hoping to be able to solve this mystery that might potentially bring him closer to finding out the truth about his missing father, find out the inevitable truth that has been hinted since the beginning of the story. There was never a beast in the first place, and the beast himself was Messenger Gustavo, would transform into this beast at night to terrorize the village and use it as a reason and an excuse to make the people quote-unquote donate money to their god, aka himself. Because the form of this character takes is a fox, giant terrifying Werefox, obviously a parody of the mythological werewolf. The story is titled A Fox in Sheep's Clothing, which is a play on words. The biblical phrase, a wolf in sheep's clothing, somebody who pretends to be an upright follower or believer, in reality is there to prey on other believers. It also coincides with my decision to go with a fox rather than a wolf, because for me, when I think of wolves seem almost like noble, loyal pack animals. Whereas throughout mythology, foxes tend to be very conniving and sly animals. Having gathered already, these are the themes that I was playing with in my latest one-shot story called The Fox in Sheep's Clothing. I wanted to deviate from the understandable or benevolent villain, rather create a villain that personifies concepts of selfishness, greed, and avarice in a way that is neither understandable or justifiable. This is therefore going to play a role in my overall story, where the protagonist of this one-shot, also the protagonist of my longer form running series that I've been working on, is going to struggle between focusing on himself, what he wants, being selfless, and putting others first. So I just wanted to come on here and share this. It is a story that I was pretty happy with that I recently finished. I'm going to link it down below for the 3 people who want to check it out. And of course, as always, let me know how you guys feel about this.